Our viewers told us which board games they've been playing, and they told us why. And we've picked out a bunch to share with you. There's some old favourites, of course, a dash of the newest hotness, and as always, several surprises in this month's People's Choice selections. Ascending onto our list, it's Ascension. There was a segue there. It's Ascension, the deck building game, which was originally released as Ascension Chronicle of the Godslayer, which does sound more dramatic, just saying. Hailing from the dusty realms of 2010, Ascension is still a fast-paced deck building game designed by 3 Magic the Gathering Pro Tour champions, in which you spend runes and power to, yes, you guessed it, get more runes and more power until you're comboing cards out of your gourd. You can defeat monsters in the card market to get rewards and points, or buy cards to give you better abilities and get constructs to give you ongoing effects. The person who voted for Ascension was too busy furiously firing off powerful combos to leave a comment. But I'll comment the heck out of it. I played a lot of Ascension because there's an app. And in the app, you can make the numbers go ludicrously high, which is satisfying. But there is something about playing deck builders as an app. I think it might be the fact that you don't have to shuffle. But I will issue a warning. Oh yes, come close to me. Ascension, according to Board Game Geek, has 73 expansions and promos, and Ascension is also the kind of game that will make you want to get all of them. So this is more like a financial warning. Don't take my advice, obviously. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to get for this game. But before the next game, here is a message from the sponsor who, in part, helped make this episode possible.
Landmarks from Floodgate Games. Landmarks is a word game of hidden paths and clever clues where every word matters, because that's how you're going to guide your team to safety. Use strategic wordplay to create a chain of single word clues to carve a path through the jungle. The clues you give will create connections between themselves, blazing a trail leading to fortune and glory. Or at least maybe just safety. Use your clues to guide your party to the next landmark, as long as they make the connections that you intended instead of going off in the wrong direction. So follow the link in this video's description for more information and to secure your copy of Landmarks today.
Up next we have Kalimala, which recently got the reprint treatment by publisher Alley Cat Games and artist Ian O'Toole. As cloth merchants in medieval Florence, we've all been there, you have a number of trusted employees that you must assign to various streets within the city to carry out actions, and while taking these actions, you'll produce and deliver cloth and contribute to the construction and decoration of various buildings across the city. Employees go out, but they also stay out. And they may trigger their action whenever the street they're on is activated. Eventually you're even promoted to the city council, triggering a scoring phase. In real world cardboard and token terms, each player has a number of action discs that they can put between 2 actions, performing both, but also activating the discs that are already on that space, perhaps helping you, but maybe helping your opponent even more. Stephen Waffles voted for Kalimala, saying, I had very low expectations for this, but boy oh boy is it good. So many choices each turn, but which will gain me the most benefit without also gaining so much benefit for others? I think Kalimala wins the award for the game that's been recommended to me the most times that I've still never played. I understand why it's been recommended to me. It looks like the dusty beige Euro that I enjoy. People know what I like. From what I understand, it's the tension of your worker placement in this game that is just so satisfying and horrendous, because you want to go somewhere, get the good thing, but you know that you want to go there first so that when everyone else goes there, you're going to benefit from that. But you also don't want to go anywhere else to help them. And, in Euro games, it is about helping yourself, and Kalimala exemplifies that. We have another classic now, a surprise with Century Spice Road, which became the first in a series of games that explores the history of each century of spice trading along the fabled Spice Road. Taking on the role of an intrepid caravan leader who travels the Silk Road to deliver spices to far reaches of the continent for fame and glory, you will establish a trade route, make trades and harvest spices, fulfill the different demands as the game goes on, as well, of course, resting to allow you to take back all your cards back into your hand because it's a board game. Noreen G mentions that they had played this on Board Game Arena, which was a piece of information that had passed me by. I've now played it numerous times on Board Game Arena. From the description that I just gave, and that they will give themselves, you might be forgiven for thinking that Century Spice Road is this immersive Euro game with lots of theme. It isn't. It never was trying to be. It really is a game of get cubes, get cards, use the cards to turn those cubes into other cubes. It's a game very much of cubes. But it really is a fascinating and exciting game when you're playing it. It's a race to get to 6 cards and whoever's got the most points at the end, and you're trying to build this tableau of cards that you can have into your hand to play out, to make an engine of cube trading goodness. To be the first to be able to have the right cubes that they're spices. The cubes are spices. No one calls them that, but the cubes are spices. So you've got the first to have the right spices to make the deliveries to get points. It's a great classic little game. Every morning in Mumbai, over 5,000 workers dressed in white set out to deliver more than 200,000 dabbas, multi-storied lunchboxes to the offices of the Indian metropolis. This is not as sinister as how I'm reading it. In Dabbawala, which is fun to say, you are out to first pick up these lunches for your clients and then go off and sell them. To pick them up, you travel around the board, taking cards that translate, of course, into polyomino tiles that you have to stack as high as you can on the back of your bike. And in the scoring/delivery round, you'll first bid to set prices and then score based on the different types of lunches you've delivered. The higher you stacked your cart, the more rounds you'll score, and the more cunning you are when setting the prices, the more tips for points you'll earn. It's Kenneth K that says, just got this game, very interesting in that it has 2 very different games in one. I thought I did well in the first phase, but then got destroyed in the selling phase. This was advertised to me an incredible amount because it's another Queen game that went to Kickstarter. And I just kind of allowed it to pass me by, like a cloud of the mind. And then, of course, as research for this video that I'm doing right now, I looked into it, I've read through the rules, and I tell you what, I like the look of this game. This looks a lot of fun. You go around the board collecting these polyomino tiles, but the cards that you collect also have a little bit of information on the bottom, which is for the second part of the game. It's got these different ways that you can, the point value that you can kind of bid on. It's satisfying, of course, to stack your little 3x3 grid as high as you can. And if you stack higher than the others, there's going to be scoring rounds that only you score for, hopefully getting you optimal points. And then in the scoring round, you literally flip the board over and you do a whole separate game of everyone playing a card, and there's some tokens that kind of change their values. But you're hoping to you're looking at what people have got. Okay, I've got loads of yellows this round. They've got blues, they've got greens. I want yellow to be the most value. So you're trying to set the price, and everyone else is like, I'm going to tank yellow because Matthew's winning and he's going to score a lot of points. But that means I'm not maybe going to score for the greens that I've collected. I'm really interested in this one, actually. Alchemists study the secret of transforming their bodies into powerful elemental forms capable of impossible feats. And a rival alchemist seeks to abuse this ability. How could they? For their own gain? That's not like them. Who are they? But you've got to push your skill to limits and defeat them before they reach their full power. That's the tagline for Fantasy Form, a solo-only game from Buttonshy where each turn you'll need to first resolve 2 encounters, which have you make difficult decisions or may earn or cost you valuable shards and essences that you will want to keep for later so that you can use them to acquire upgrades and ultimately defeat your rival. When you get access to the ethereal row, which is definitely real, it's cards, you can get your hands on upgrades, artifacts and companions to add powerful abilities to your arsenal and increase the damage that you can do against your rival. Peter E reminds us that this new solo game from Buttonshy is a clever retheme of Spaceshipped, which is harder to say, but also accurate. Fantasy Form is just the quintessential Buttonshy game, in the fact that they have themselves performed some type of crazed alchemy, getting so much game into 18 cards. And yes, they cheat. Buttonshy have always been cheating. They're multi-sided cards. They've got double sides. Multi-use as well. How could they? But it kind of creates this whole pseudo dungeon crawl where you are doing all these choices as the rounds go on, trying to make sure that you've made the right choices to have enough currency to get enough items, and then you fight an end boss, which is going to be different because there's lots of them to choose from, and you have a certain amount of time to do damage to your end boss. It really just is a marvel how much game they can get into one of those little wallet packs. Very impressive. Hund is next. It's all in capital, so I can only assume you're meant to shout it. It's a trick-taking game where players try to collect as many points as possible, but initially, no one knows which suit will generate positive or negative points. Okay, so gameplay is similar to most traditional trick-taking games. But the first time a 3 is played, the suit of that card becomes trump for the rest of the round. And that's how the game continues. As the other 3s come out, we're going to know what suit is going to be negative points, who's going to be first player, who's going to score points for having not the most or the least. And as you play these cards and the tricks come out, you'll keep a note to work out what the rules are exactly as rounds go by. Mr. Costin has been playing this, saying that they just discovered Hund on Board Game Arena, and they say they're loving this game. Creating the rules as you play is very fun, but unfortunately, it's not available anywhere actually to buy. Thematically, dogs playing card games is a winning combination. Let's be frank. And the game reminds me slightly of another trick-taking card game that I absolutely love called Niet, which is where you, at the start of the round, players are kind of bidding for what the values of things are going to be, what's going to be trump, what's going to be super trump, what's going to be worth points and so on. And I love that concept because you get to kind of form and mold the game to your whims if you have good cards with which to do. But because it's a 3, you're often not going to win the trick with the 3. There's just so much I think I'm going to enjoy about playing Hund. Not least of all, the artwork and just the way it looks. I just think it looks lovely.
Hi, I'm Chaz Marler, Watch It Played host and board game enthusiast. But inevitably, I spend many of my game nights like this.
Well, I don't know. Well, what do you want to play?
So, to help me and my game group spend less time choosing and more time playing, I went and made a website called GameNightPicks.com. Now, we can suggest games ahead of time and vote on which ones to pick to play next. More time together, less time staring at the game shelf, just standing there, just wondering what to play next. The website just launched and is open to everybody, including you. You're welcome to use it too. Schedule public and private game nights, discover suggested games and make recommendations, vote on which ones to play next, set your personal preferences for each title, indicate your level of expertise, record your plays, manage your collection, and more stuff too, actually, now that I've been busy. So follow the link in this video's description to GameNightPicks.com. It's free to start using, and I hope the site helps you find your next game night picks and play more games with more people.
During the reign of Emperor Yao, the people of ancient China were constantly plagued by deadly floods along the Yellow River. Eager to put an end to the devastation, Yao selected Gun, one of his officials, to devise a plan. After 9 years of failed attempts using dams and dikes, Gun's employment came to a questionable end. After his passing, which I'm sure was an accident. I didn't hear anything. Did you hear anything? I don't know. I mean, it could have happened to anyone, right? After his passing, Yu inherited his father's work and learned from Gun's failures. Yu set out to construct a series of canals to direct the surging river into nearby fields and smaller waterways. In Legacy of Yu, Yu play as Yu, which is the basis of some classic Stargate jokes, which I'm hopeful some of you out there will remember. And as you make your way through this solo-only, fully resettable, non-linear campaign game, it will be your job to build the canals ahead of the impending flood, while also defending your growing village against neighbouring barbarian tribes. And with each game, stories will be shared and new gameplay elements added, which also incorporate a self-balancing system which adapts to how well you're doing over the 7 games. Viewer Orange Force selected this one, saying, I never thought I would play a campaign game from beginning to end, but this game overcame the biggest barrier, that being needing friends. I actually recently was talking about this game with Rodney. He's been playing it and he was enjoying it and trying to get me to play it. I think because he wants to talk about it and it's solo. So he's like, I need someone else who's read this book. And there's lots of story elements that get added. At the beginning, you're kind of doing these trades on the board, trying to build the canals, trying to stop the water. And there's lots of ways to lose the game. And there's definitely a puzzle to be solved with each round you play of how you get resources and what you spend them on and having enough to do everything that you need. I also really love the artwork in this game. It's a Garfield game, and I tend to enjoy the artwork of their games. They always kind of remind me of the horrible history books from when I was a kid. So that's always endears me to their projects. It's time now for a game that is very satisfying to say, and that's Quickety Pickety, in which it's harvest time and there are fruit out there which you need to make sets from and rake in the cash. But of course, it ain't that simple. You need to, unsurprisingly, pick them quickly in Quickety Pickety, which is a frantic tile flipping game that requires players to be quick with their hands and also, unfortunately, their brains. Everyone starts flipping the tiles at the same time, searching to create a set of fruit of the same colour or shape. And you're on a mission to collect these fruits before the hidden monkeys among the fruit end the game. And unfortunately for you, a lot of the fruit here are very misleading, as you're racing against time and against monkeys. Toffer Hickman picketied this one, that worked, saying, I was surprised to enjoy this quick and fun little game. I'm usually left behind in real-time games, but I've actually won this game once or twice. Which was it? Was it once? I get it. Toffer, I get it. Winning does tend to make me enjoy a game more. You play a game and you win it, you think, actually, yes, that was great. I really thought that was good. Same game, different multiverse. You don't win, you don't like it. That's human nature. There isn't really too much to go on about this game, but what I like about it is that it is that kind of devious mind twist in a lot of games like this, where you're trying to create sets and obviously the frantic nature of it and the panic, and you're shouting at people and you're trying to do things as quick as you can. And then when you get time to score, because the monkeys have emerged, you realize you just made a series of terrible decisions that at the time you were boldly confident about. And I like that reveal. Now we have Robinson Crusoe Adventures on the Cursed Island Collector's Edition, GameFound Edition. What a title. Robinson Crusoe is a game that to many has a legendary status. That's mainly because it's probably easier to survive on a real desert island than it is to win any of the different scenarios this game has to offer. You have your mission to escape a volcano, perhaps, to rescue a friend, or just survive. And you'll be using worker placement to gather the things that you need to upgrade your situation from deadly to survivable. This GameFound edition has the original base game, as well as an absurd amount of extra stuff. There's minis, a tutorial campaign, there's a companion app, as well as a bunch of exclusive content unlocked in the stretch goals, like a model of the camp. It's multiple pieces. New event cards, weather tiles, a dice tower. There's a little parrot and a little horse. What's not to like? That horse getting eaten, right? They're not making it. Viewer Thomas Hughes says that every time I play this game, I get a story out of it, even, or especially, when I lose badly, which happens often. It's funny to me how terribly difficult this game is meant to be, but I feel like that is what has endeared so many people to it, and just keeps people coming back to it. The fact that it is just so hard. Robinson Crusoe has just this terribly difficult gameplay sequence of just trying to stay alive, but it manages to do all of it by remaining incredibly tongue-in-cheek and kind of silly. You know, the artwork and all the different scenarios is like, this is Indiana Jones artwork for the volcano, and it's kind of silly as well. And the question is, do you need this big collector's edition, GameFound edition? And they did come to retail, but of course there's all that extra stuff in if you can find those GameFound editions. And I guess the answer to that just lies in, were you playing Robinson Crusoe a lot already? You know? And if you were, then go for it. And I think it's the kind of game where I can really understand why such a deluxeified edition exists. The Pursuit of Happiness rounds off our list this month. And for a game that came out originally in 2015, multiple people voted for it and have been coming back to enjoy it once again. The game tells us that we all have one common desire: revenge. Sorry, no, I think it's the pursuit of happiness. And now we get a chance to build a life, taking steps towards the pursuit of happiness as we come closer to the realization, and perhaps happiness itself lies in the pursuit. Wouldn't that be unfortunate? So the pursuit of happiness is a game in which you take a character from birth and you live the life you always wanted. Well, depending on the cards that come out, as you play this worker placement mechanism with time as your workers. You take on projects, you get jobs, you buy items, you establish relationships, you raise families. The possibilities are pretty much endless as you live the life you've always wanted. The pursuit of happiness, straight up, is a good game. It's fun to play. And I feel like it's a bit of an underdog game because it doesn't make all the lists, you know? But I've always really enjoyed playing it. There's a mess of expansions for it as well. But it has this endearing charm and wit, and it creates these wonderful stories and moments as you play. And it's got so many things that make sense. You can spend time on doing things. Do you spend time on your job, on your home life, on your relationships, on working out? And the rewards are going to be there, or the punishments for the short-term happiness. You know, studying gets you intelligence, working out gets you health, jobs get you money, but all of these things aren't going to fulfill you completely as a character in the pursuit of happiness. And you really can play into the roles and the fun of that as much as you want, or you can just play it as a straight up good resource management Euro game. I really think that the Pursuit of Happiness is one of those games that I'd kind of just recommend to anyone. It's pretty easy to learn, to play, it's fun. I think a lot of people will come away from having played that game having a really good night. And that's a lot of what board games are about. And I think you could derive some happiness from that. And that is a sampling of what our viewers have been playing this month. To join the discussion for next episode, follow the link in this video's description to our Patreon to find out how you can pick the games featured in the People's Choice next month. And to see our own games on our own personal radars, continue on to this month's On the Radar episode. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time.